Hi guys, welcome back to my channel Cook and Study with Priyanshi. So in today's video we'll be studying Beehive class 9 chapter 6 My Childhood. This chapter My Childhood is an extract from APJ Abdul Kalam's autobiography Wings of Fire. Let's start with the chapter. You all know APJ Abdul Kalam. He's such a great personality. He's also known as Missile Man of India. APJ Abdul Kalam also was the 11th President of India. This chapter talks about his childhood, what all situations, what all problems he faced in his childhood. Let's start with the chapter. I was born into a middle-class Tamil family in island town of Rameshwaram in the erstwhile Madras state. My father, Janulabdin, had neither much formal education nor much wealth. Despite these disadvantages, he possessed great innate wisdom and a true generosity of spirit. He had an idle helpmate in my mother, Ashi Amma. I do not recall the exact number of people she fed every day, but I am quite certain that far more outsiders ate with us than all the members of our own family put together. I was one of many children, a short boy with rather undistinguished looks, born to tall and handsome parents. So APJ Abdul Kalam described himself in these lines that he described himself as one of many children because he has had many brothers and sisters. He was a short boy with very undistinguished looks. He was born to tall and handsome parents. APJ Abdul Kalam used to live in his ancestral house, which means your Purana Dada Pardada ka house, which was built in the middle of the 19th century. It was fairly a large pakka house which was made of limestone brick, not a kacha house, on the Mosque Street in Rameshwaram. My austere father, austere means simple, strict and severe, used to avoid all essential comforts and luxuries. He described the behavior of his father in these lines, that his father used to avoid all comforts, luxuries and wants, but necessities were provided in terms of food, medicine or clothes. Needs were provided, not the wants, because needs are compulsory. You can't live without needs, but wants are extra. In fact, I would say mine was a very secure childhood, both materially and emotionally. APJ Abdul Kalam said that his childhood was very secure, both materially and emotionally. Now, the Second World War broke out in 1939 when APJ Abdul Kalam was only 8 years old. He was a kid at that time. For reasons I have never been able to understand, a sudden demand for tamarind seeds erupted in the market. At that time, tamarind seeds was in demand in the market due to the war. So, APJ Abdul Kalam used to collect the seeds and sell them to a provision shop on the Mosque Street, where on the Mosque Street only his house was built. A day's collection would fetch him the princely sum of 1 anna. 1 anna at that time worth about 6 paisa. My brother-in-law, Jalaluddin, would tell me stories about the war, which I would later attempt to trace in the headlines in Dinamani. Dinamani is a name of newspaper. Our area, being isolated, was completely unaffected by the war. As discussed earlier, that Rameshwaram was a small island town. So, it was an isolated area and was completely unaffected by the war. But soon India was forced to join the Allied forces and something like a state of emergency was declared. Allied forces, the armies of UK, US and Russia during the Second World War. There were Allied forces, Axis powers, Central powers, Allied powers, Axis powers, we all know. The first casualty came in the form of suspension of the train halt at Rameshwaram station. The newspapers now had to be bundled and thrown out of the moving train on the Rameshwaram road between Rameshwaram and Dhanuskodi. That forced my cousin Samsuddin, you should remember these names. His brother-in-law was Jalaluddin, his father Janulabdin, his mother Ashiyamma, and his cousin Samsuddin, who distributed newspapers in Rameshwaram, needed a helping hand to catch the bundles. So, APJ Abdul Kalam helped him and filled the slot. Samsuddin helped him or APJ Abdul Kalam to earn his first wages. Half a century later, also, APJ Abdul Kalam felt the surge of pride in earning his own money for the first time. He was very proud of earning his own money for the first time. APJ Abdul Kalam used to believe that every child is born with some inherited characteristic. Every child is unique into a specific socio-economic and emotional environment. So, APJ Abdul Kalam described that I inherited honesty and self discipline from my father. APJ Abdul Kalam said that his father was an honest person and self disciplined. So he inherited honesty and self discipline from his father. From his mother, APJ Abdul Kalam inherited faith in goodness and deep kindness, and inherited faith in goodness and deep kindness, and so did my three brothers and sisters. From his mother, here APJ Abdul Kalam describes three of his best friends of his childhood, close friends in his childhood: Ramanatha Sastri, Arvindan, and Shiv Prakashan. These three were close friends of APJ Abdul Kalam. All these friends were from orthodox Hindu Brahmin families, means they were pandits. As children, none of them ever felt any difference amongst themselves because of religious differences in upbringing. Because they were children, they didn't know what was caste system, they didn't know what were stereotypes, they didn't know any religion, they were friends. Ramanatha Shastri was the son of Pakshi Lakshmana Shastri, the highest priest of the Rameshwaram temple. Later, he took over the priesthood of Rameshwaram temple from his father. Arvindan went into the business of arranging transport for visiting pilgrims, and Shiv Prakashan became a catering contractor of the Southern Railways. So these all professions his friends took when they grew up. We'll study the next two pages in the next video, part 2. Thank you for watching.